the General Assembly has passed a ordinance, a law that basically says we create a cultural and resource authority, or cultural and recreation authority. We have appointed all members of this board to that so we could get started with paperwork and get the process going on this. We have, since that time, we have received 26 applications, and several commissioners have interest in serving on that board. And the CRA, as it existed, appointed me to be chairman of that board at a meeting. And now it's time to appoint the other members of the board. We have 26 applications. I think there is some interest in some commissioners. We've had discussions about commissioner membership, and I think there were discussion about this. So procedurally, I think the way we may want to consider this is to get a motion for resignation from all, including me, or just the six.
Well, right now, everybody, that each member is on a board, and they hold a certain seat with a certain term. So if it's the desire of the commissioners, you can resign from that position, and then next appoint somebody to fill that place and do that. That would probably be the cleanest way to do it.
And is there Mr. Ewing, you would do a motion for everybody?
I don't know if we need to do a motion. I think that you can just pull the board and ask each commissioner if he or she resigned from the board.
Okay.
I think that will take care of it.
And do I need to resign also?
That is up to each individual board member.
No, I mean, as far as my appointment as chairman of the board,
I would think that if you resign your position from the board, you would also no longer be there.
I can get that. I mean,
So if you don't want to,
Just as others who do no longer wish to be on the board need to resign.
okay.
and those that wish to stay on the board don't need to resign.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Then I'll poll the board. Mr. Fryer, do you?
That was kind of not the spirit of what I was talking about, but we'll we can roll with it.
Well, I guess we have two options here. And I think that is one way to do it. Another way I feel would be that we could move to make a motion to remove people. Would that be an alternative way to get pare down to where we want
That
to
would
make
be an
it?
alternative, yes, sir.
Okay, so is there, we can do it either way. What's the pleasure of the board?
Ms. Jones brought forward that all six of us can resign and you stay.
That's right.
Then we would pick the ones from the board. I think I'm right, Ms. Jones, on this. But all six would resign, nobody would stay, and then we would pick back, who would go back in that board.
That's one way to do it. That's one of the ways we discussed it.
I think that's what she brought forward. Am I wrong, Ms. Jones?
No, you're right.
All right, so what's the pleasure? We can do it either way. There can either be a motion or we can go poll the board.
I make a motion that we go with the recommendation Ms. Jones put forward.
All right.
Second. Okay. That just the six commissioners.
Okay, all right. All right, there's been a motion that the six commissioners, besides myself, resign from the board and acknowledge their resignation at this time. And then we're going to appoint, I think, two is what has been discussed, and that will be able to do it after this round. So there's been a motion and a second for all of us to, all six of them, the chairman, to resign as members of the CRA, subject to reappointment of several members. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, you don't necessarily need to do a formal motion for the members of the board to resign from the CRA. I think a simple just polling of the board would be sufficient to accomplish what you're trying to do.
Okay, we have a motion on the board, so we should just poll at this point.
That would be
I
most.
resign.
Okay.
I resign.
Okay. All right. Okay, we have, all right. So we have 5 resignations, and Commissioner Frost would like to stay on. Is there a motion?
And I just want to be clear that
as someone, as a representative of District 1, I am very interested in representing that district and those taxpayers and the local municipality that is within my district. So I do not want my resignation to be seen as a indication of non-interest.
Okay, is there a motion? I would like, at this point, I think we should appoint any other commissioners that are going to be on that. Okay, is there a motion for any other commissioner to be appointed to the Cultural and Recreation Authority?
Move Joe Belcher be appointed.
Mr. Belcher has been appointed. Is there a second? Second. Okay. Any other nominations at this point?
Move to nominate Holly Jones.
Holly Jones has been nominated. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other nominations? All right. Then we have two nominees. I guess the first thing would be the pleasure of the board, how many commissioners do we want on the board? And would it be best to, what's the best procedure here, Mr. Moore?
I would probably take it, you could either vote on it by seat. So let's say that right now we have 5 vacant seats and that we look at each seat and you can appoint the person to the seat as you wish and fill those. That would probably be the simplest way to do that. So right now, let's say that we have Commissioner Belcher's seat, which is a 3-year term. You all can take a vote as to who you want to fill that seat. Then we can go to the Commissioner Jones's seat that was resigning, and you could take a vote as to who you wish to fill that seat, Commissioner Newman, Commissioner King, and Commissioner
And I
Francis.
think that would, then we just kind of get in a racing for the nomination. And I kind of think the polling is more of the spirit when we get to the floor.
That's fine too, you can poll, but I just think for just trying
Where
to.
I missed the whole thing. I'm sorry. It's starting to get a little bit out here, and then we're 4 commissioners.
No,
Well,
no.
let's say, hey, that's, 3 is too many as far as I'm concerned. But how, I've never figured out who holds the 3-year seat, who holds the 2-year seat, period.
And at the last meeting, when you all appointed yourselves, you all mentioned specific seats, and what I have right here.
I just mentioned
Big-
the type of seat.
Right, based on the minutes that I have, you went over that. You have Commissioner Gant Chairman Gant has a 3-year term. Commissioner Belcher had a 3-year term, and Commissioner Frost had a 3-year term. The 2-year terms were Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Newman, and the 1-year terms were Commissioner King and Commissioner.
Well,
I mean, the other one, we could just, if there's 6 vacancies, and we all know that there's 2 things we could poll and include. I mean, the truth of the matter is I think all the candidates that we interviewed were dynamite, and I think you could almost, if it wasn't for the issue of the importance of representation of taxpayers and some of the history of the CRA, I mean, I almost think you could pull their names out of the hat. They were all that. So the other way to do it is to kind of go down and poll and like who your 6 people that you would like on, and then we just kind of see, and then you can include, if you want, if you don't like the idea of 3 commissioners, you don't have to put anybody else. Or you can put 2 more, I mean, whatever you want to do, but you don't have to do 4 for sure. But that kind of changes this stuff down.
The dynamics, we need to get this 3, 2, whatever we have up here settled now. Then we'll go for the other 4.
Okay, I have a suggestion. And Mr. Yule, let me see if this would be a way to do it. We have 2 3-year terms, 2 2-year terms, and 2 1-year terms to appoint tonight.
Actually, there's 1 3-year term, 2 2-year terms, and 2 1-year terms.
Okay. I would say that we just go down.
Some of that would be relative to the amount of time that you're serving too, I guess.
I mean, I guess you could do the 2 options would be either do the seat by seat, or you could pick each commissioner, pick the 5 people that they want to become part of the board, or to serve on the board, and then you all can decide, after you pick those 5 people, who's going to serve what seat.
6 people.
6 people. Well, no, it's only 5 because Commissioner Frost did not resign her seat. So right now.
I see.
So-
You're right.
So that's why I'm going with.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can we not fill the commissioner's seat? And fill the citizens seat?
Sure. You can do that.
I don't understand why that's a problem.
I think if you do, you just need to hold the board for, 2 of the commissioners have been nominated, and you just need to call the board and choose that seat, if you want to approach it that way.
okay,
Well, that would put the second of the commissioner on the board.
yeah,
That makes the third.
okay. Is that a good way? I'm comfortable, if we want to poll, and it would basically be, Belcher or Jones would be the 2 that express interest.
Exactly.
And we'll poll the commissioner, that's what we're going to do. And that would be for the 3-year term now held by Mr. Belcher, Commissioner Belcher, until his resignation. Okay, so,
I support that process, Chairman Gann, and I just like to make a comment in terms of this. I mean, I think that, from my sense of the conversations amongst members of the last, several weeks about this, I think there seems to be a lot of agreement that we do not want to have more than 3 commissioners on the board because it creates a majority, and it could be
That's what I'm not happy with.
it could be an issue from is this really anything other than a subcommittee of the county commission? So I think there's agreement on that. I appreciate your willingness to serve as chair. If you do, and we're not going to have more than 3 commissioners, obviously, ultimately, there's going to be some district on the commission that's not represented on the new board. So, but that is what it is. I wouldn't want District 3 to not have a representative. Obviously, I don't want District 1 to not have a representative too. Ultimately, there's probably no way to reconcile that. Part of my concern is that and we will get to this next in terms of appointing the other members, but part of my reason for, I think Commissioner Belcher or Commissioner Jones would both do a great job, of course, in terms of serving on the board. Part of my concern is what the overall composition of the board looks like. And I would love to be proven wrong, but my concern is that after we're done with this vote, we appoint the citizen piece to it as well. That District 1 is going to end up being very poorly represented on this board. So I'm going to just express that concern, put that out there as we think about the overall mix of the appointments to the board. So, thank you.
any other comments going on before we vote on the 3rd commissioner seat between Commissioner Belcher and Commissioner Vice Chair Gill?
I would like to say something. We're all Buncombe County Commissioners, every single one of us, and we represent the whole county. And because others have chosen to give us this election, doesn't mean that I'm not going to represent Sandy, West Barnesville, and the city of Asheville. So I want to be really clear about that. We're all Buncombe County Commissioners.
All right. Any other discussion?
I'd like to just remind everybody of the process that we've arrived at. And 3 years ago, the city of Asheville made an overture to the county of Buncombe to begin conversations, and they were really positive conversations and constructive conversations and encouraging conversations about what's possible for us to come together. We know that the community is hungry for cooperation and collaboration and hands across the aisles. And so for months, this group worked and with great respect and inclusivity, and thus the idea was born. Powers outside of us have made that the participation of a large part of our community not possible right now. And so I think in light of that very clear exclusion, I think it is really important to send a message to that group that had the vision, that invested the time, that was willing to have some hard discussions, and that they have an elected representative at this very important board for their taxpayers. So, I currently serve on one other board. That's my sole responsibility that I've taken on for this. So I've got a lot of room and interest in this, my schedule about this. So, and I would do a really good job. So, and on that board, I would also represent all the other municipalities as well as the entire county. So I would just kind of put that in the context of this bigger picture in this day of crazy division, to think about how can we, send a strong message of inclusion across our community.
So I've got a couple just brief comments. I want to, one is we have the chairman on here, so the chairman represents all the districts. And I think in my case, he's done that very well. I have been very passionate from the beginning with the cards that we were dealt, and on the CRA with children and making sure that we're being good stewards of the county's money. It would be my intent to continue that way, to be make sure that the stewardship is important, but make sure that the needs are taken care of in a way that would be visionary. I'm excited about it. And my colleagues up here, I respect them very, very much, and enjoy the opportunity of serving with them, and would appreciate the opportunity to serve on this board.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I think what we're witnessing is commissioners are a little bit nervous and want to make sure that every citizen is served throughout the county and that this thing works for everyone. Now, the legislature has authorized us to create this entity, and we all have concerns, and we all have expectations and hopes. And if this doesn't meet the expectations and the hope of the public and serve everyone that needs to be served and should be served, then this board also has the power to pull the plug on this. And if it doesn't do that, that's still well within our power. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Any other comments? All right, so what we have is, I think there's been an informal consensus that there will be 3 commissioners on the board. There are 2 on there now, so this will be for the final commissioner spot. It is appropriate to designate this as a 3-year spot, or is that something we should do later?
That should be at the pleasure of the board if you want.
I would recommend that we do this a 3-year spot. Is that by the nominations, is that acceptable to people nominated? All right, so this will be a 3-year, and I think Commissioner Frost already had a 3-year spot, and I had a 3-year spot. So this will be, the 3-year spots will be held by a commissioner from this board on the CRA board. Okay, so does everybody understand, we're going to vote between Vice Chair Jones and Commissioner Belcher. Hold the commissioner poll. All right.
Belcher.
Jones.
Belcher.
Belcher.
Jones.
All right. Commissioner Belcher's appointed. Now we have 4 remaining seats. We have 26 applicants. I would recommend that at this point in procedurally that we vote for the 4 that you wish to be on this board, and then we go back and have a separate designation of the terms, which ones have 2 years and which ones have 1 year. Is that acceptable with the board?
So you're polling each of us.
Poll us for the remaining 4 seats on the Cultural and Recreation Department.
All right.
Is that agreeable with everybody? Commissioner Fryer?
Briggs, Johnson, Russell, Tessiak.
Briggs, Johnson, Kern, Tessier.
Anderson, Kern, Russell, Johnson.
Briggs, Johnson, Kern, and Tessier.
Briggs, Johnson, Russell, and Tessier.
Anderson, Kern, Russell, and Johnson.
Briggs, Johnson, Kern, Tessier.
I've got Briggs, Johnson, Kern,
Can't hear.
Briggs, Johnson, Kern, and Tessier. Is that right?
What was the count? Can you read them out and then give us a total on those votes?
I can say George Briggs got 5, Bill Lefty got 2, George Briggs got 5, Eleanor Johnson got 7, Matthew Kern got 5, Bill Russell got 4, and Karen Tessier got 5.
All right. Now we need to designate the terms for these individuals. Is there a motion to, or you want to poll for the, let's just do it this way. We've got 2 2-year terms and 2 1-year terms, correct? Let's poll for the 2-year terms. Which ones do you want to have 2-year terms?
Is there a way to do the highest vote-getter that would get the best, the
You could
longest?
do that. You could do that. Okay. So that would be,
If I give you a breakdown, you did one.
okay. So the highest vote getter
I
would,
spoke here with Eleanor Johnson.
okay, so she would have a 2-year term. Okay.
George Briggs and Matthew Kern and Karen Tessier all had 5.
Okay, so that doesn't help us too much. We still need one.
One doesn't help. Do we have a 3-seat?
Okay, no, we've already started our 3 seats. So let's just say between Briggs, Kern, and Tessier, which one gets the 2 seats? How about that? And you pick one for the 2 seats, one out of the 3. So you'll be voting for Mr. Briggs, Mr. Kern, or Ms. Tessier to have a 2-year term versus a 1-year term. Is that reasonable? All right, so this is between, again, Briggs, Kern, and Tessier. I'll start this one.
Tessier.
Tessier.
Kern.
So, at the end of the day, we have appointed Commissioner Gant has been appointed the chair. We have Commissioner Frost and Commissioner Belcher to serve 3-year terms. You have you have Miss Eleanor Johnson to serve a 2-year term, and Ms. Tessier to serve a 2-year term. Mr. Briggs will serve a 1-year term, and Mr. Kern will serve a 1-year term. All of the individuals are subject to reappointment. Is that correct? And is there any term limits in relation? I can't remember if there's any.
Our policy is a 2-year term. This first appointment, all of the terms began on July the 1st of 13, and this is filling the balance of that term. So in essence, you could have 2 more reappointments.
All right. Any questions about that? Okay. All right. Other openings that we are advertising at this point is the County Board of Adjustment, 1 vacancy, and the Pack Place Board, 1 vacancy. Announcements, the next board meeting will be October 15, beginning at 4:30 in room 326 at 200 College Street in downtown Asheville. Commissioner meetings can be seen on BC Charter Cable Channel 2, ATTV Verse Channel 99, and live for the first time in our history tonight on BC Channel 2 and on BuncombeCounty.org during our meetings, and online anytime at BuncombeCounty.org. I think, Dr. Green, we do have, or Mr. Euler, we do have a need for a closed session. Is that right?
Yes, you need to go into closed session to discuss, and I need a motion to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-311A4.
Been a motion by Commissioner Foster, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we will not be taking any action when we return.
That's my understanding.
All right, then we'll be in closed session. Thank you.